What's going on, everybody? AJ Capasso here from Coventry Circle Paranormal. I'm here with my friend.
It's Todd Sylvia, relatively paranormal equipment, and wickedly haunted on New Bedford Guide, and of course, talking with the source.
Yeah, and you guys are watching another episode. So, Todd, today, man, we got an awesome guest. It's going to be an absolute awesome thing just to get straight into it. What do you think?
I'm hype, bro. I'm so excited.
All right, so how about this? You give him the intro, man. Give him the intro.
Okay.
Fan.
So, if anybody knows me at all, I am a massive fan of the show Most Haunted, which was filmed in the United Kingdom, and they went to the best, like, top of the line, holy grail locations in the country, places that were like hundreds to thousands of years old, and they would investigate with very little equipment and just get like the most incredible evidence, get stuff thrown on. It was just absolutely crazy, the stuff that they used to encounter. And it's actually a place that I one day will get to because I absolutely love the United Kingdom. Now, on every episode, they would have a psychic medium. And for several seasons, our special guest today, Mr. Brian Shepard, was one of those mediums. And what he would do during the episodes is whatever spirits he was coming in contact with, he would draw out their picture. And he's a phenomenal artist. So you would get like, I want to say he would do like a charcoal type drawing, and it would give you a visual of the spirits that they were coming in contact with. And he did a fantastic job. His readings were always on point. I love the guy. I'm so excited that he's on the show today. So excited.
Let's bring him in.
Excited.
Hey, bro.
There he is.
Hey. Hello, guys.
Good. How you doing today? Great.
Yeah, I'm good. You guys?
Doing
Are you
good.
doing good?
Listen, I'm fantastic, bro. I got Brian Shepard on the show. I'm excited.
Well, it's not every day, I get people excited. maybe we should say it again.
Listen, it's not even just the show that you were on. It's where you live, the locations. Like, I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. You guys get to go to the most phenomenal locations in the world, places with hundreds to thousands of years worth of history. And, we have some good places in America. It's just, it doesn't touch what you guys have. And I will get there one day. One day I will get there.
You just said it. I mean, Great Britain is a place with real history.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? I mean, you haven't got to go far before you fall over something, ancient. You go into London and goodness me, I mean, look how many places you've got to explore, to visit.
Oh.
I mean, it's incredible, really.
The places you've been, sir, like,
I'm so
incredible.
lucky, really, to, I mean, I live on the outskirts of London, just on the edge of London. I can be in London within, 20 minutes.
Wow.
And we do, not for just the reasons we're talking about, of course, but I mean, for leisure. It's a great place. It's one of the, I think anyway, I think it's one of the best, if not the best city in the world for me. And I have been various places, a good few places, of course, in the States and all over. And I love it. I love being here.
And it's not even that. You guys have Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Isle of Man, which is where my family's from. That's where my grandmother's side of the family's from.
Well, in actual fact, I mean, you've said that. I've never, ever been to the Isle of Man. I've just recently come back from Ireland, from Kerry. In Ireland, and we spent a few days there in Kerry and went up to Cork. I have, of course, been to, I've been to Scotland, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, etc., and worked there for, both leisure and working for on the Most Haunted show.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah, you guys would go all around. You guys would go everywhere. Wales, I've seen you guys go everywhere.
Oh, Wales, yeah. All over Wales, North Wales, South Wales, all over the place.
It never ends. The locations never end there.
Yeah, and it's great because there are places which even I wouldn't necessarily have gone to, had it not been for the investigations within the Most Haunted framework.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was lucky. I was lucky to do that, and to go to Italy, etc., or whatever. I had to come to the US, for instance, doing the American leg of the Most Haunted, which was fabulous. Doing
it was an awesome season. I saw that season too. It was fantastic.
Doing the Stanley Hotel, for heaven's sakes, it was brilliant.
Moundsville. You guys went to Moundsville. You went to Waverly, right?
Oh, Waverly. Oh, absolutely. Have you been? Have you been to Waverly?
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't.
List.
It's on your list.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's like top. It's like top 3 in the United States.
It's an amazing place. If you're creative, if you're a perceptive person, it's an amazing place to be. I've never been anywhere quite like it, to be honest. And then we're all talking about the Great Britain, the UK and everything that has to offer. But Waverly was such an eerie place. It really was. It was, so claustrophobic. Obviously, an old sanitarium. But I mean, dare I say it, creepy as hell.
It's funny that you could use that the word claustrophobic would come into a place from the outside that looks so massive, but on TV, from what I've seen, the rooms are small, the hallways are tight.
You know what?
And I could see where you would get that.
Do you know what? Approaching it's this massive lump of a building, full of eeriness and forbearing. But you get there and get inside, and let's be fair. I mean, we weren't there in the sunshine in the daytime.
Yeah,
it was at night, and it was the creepiest of places. It really was. I mean, there was stuff strewn everywhere. It was like a set of a horror movie, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Like set ready to go. Yeah. So you were kind of there anyway. But then to be in the dark, nobody on that shoot wanted to be there on their own. No one.
I don't blame them.
You got that feeling. You could feel the past, the patients that were treated there and what they were being treated for. Wow. Claustrophobic, suffocation almost, all these things were felt.
Oh.
Shadows, rooting across a far part of a wall, moving. It was an incredible place.
Now, I want to ask you something. How does your gift work, Brian?
It works in the...
what do you see, sense, feel?
It's a feeling. It's a perception.
Okay.
We were talking about I'm an artist. We're talking about being an artist. Being an artist is doing something you can see. Is drawing something you can see in front of you.
Yeah.
Whether it's from live photographs or whatever. It's drawing something that is visual. You can see it. It's not a problem to do it as long as you have the talent for drawing. You can do it. Drawing something that you can't see is a different ballgame.
Oh, absolutely.
That is a perception. It's not a case of, you know what, I was at so and so and so and so, and I saw this person. Yeah. It's not like that because you're using the word see, and seeing it is not. It is a perception, and that's where concentration, being alone, being left to get on with it, and explore one's own feelings comes into play. It really does.
That's what I wanted to ask him. Was you would draw the most detailed, fantastic, beautiful photos of these spirit energies. Are you seeing these details in your mind's eye from what they're sending you, like emotion wise, or because they would be such fantastic drawings and it would really bring to life everything?
Well, indeed, because it all works on that psychic vibration. That's where the concentration comes in. That's where being alone. That's where not being surrounded with the litter of, cameras or whatever. They need to be there, but some of those cameras were totally offset. They weren't being manned, so it was a case of being in a place on my own, without the disturbances that, as I say, what would amount to a television studio would mean. So it is about concentration. It is about allowing those things to come through to you, and come through they do. Certainly not strongly or every time, far from it. Yeah. But there are instances when that did happen, very much so. And then I think you can get a good visualization of a spirit, if you like, that inhabits that particular place at that particular time. And that's the interesting thing. Where do these things come from?
Yes. Fascinating.
Where do they come from? Are they there all the time? Is it like a trigger? Could it be released by anybody? I don't know, to be honest. People say they can. I think perhaps not. I think suggestion is a big part of some people's seeing things. Put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we suggest enough, your imagination comes into play.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
I
mean, and also the whole thing with pareidolia too. With us as paranormal investigators, we deal with paranormal, pareidolia. But I want to show the viewers what he was talking about detail. I have some just personal artistry that you do, which I want to talk about in a minute. But I just want to show a couple of pictures here that you have up on your website of you that you've done. They're absolutely astonishing. I mean, look at this. This is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Well, now, of course, you're talking about pictures that have been done because I'm standing in front of them.
No, I know.
Do you have any of his drawings?
I'm saying the viewers, the detail that you were talking about, Todd, on the show Most Haunted. I'm sure like people can understand the detail of what you were talking about through the detail of those pictures right there. Like that was just, I mean, those pictures are amazing. You're an amazing artist. And I actually have never got a chance to watch Most Haunted, believe it or not. And I was telling everybody, and like, really, are you serious? And I'm like, yes, actually, I haven't. I was like, shockingly, I was like, I know a lot of the guys, obviously, now from doing this work. I know Richard Felix. I know, obviously, Dr. I can't say his name, but Mr. O'Keefe.
Oh, Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran. Yeah. The first name. And I always say it wrong. I didn't want to butcher his name. But I tell you what, great people, like just some great people, just like yourself. And it's just amazing to see the work that you do. That's why I wanted to ask you about your gift. Do you do readings for people outside of that work, or do you only do it for like the TV show and for others?
No. I increasingly, to be honest with you, I increasingly don't do it. But and when I do, it's on a private level.
Okay.
And that's it now. But and that's these days, I'm getting older, and there are certain things I do and don't want to do, like all of us, I mean, I still paint every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I mean, and I put things up on my website or Facebook or whatever. But psychic investigations or readings or whatever, I mean, that's now a very private thing. So people come to me because they've heard of me and want to engage. And if I think I can do something, then I would probably say, you know what, we'll give that a shot, see what happens, But I'm not out there looking for it, put it that way.
Okay, yeah, no, I get it. The only reason why I asked also was because we have a viewer that her name is Tracy Coleman, and she asked, obviously, am I live? And yes, we are live. And you know, she lost someone very close to her, and she wanted to know if we were doing a reading, anything. And I said, and I obviously I didn't respond because no, we're not doing any readings right now. But I just wanted to ask to see if there's a way for her to contact you in any way to, you know, to have a reading. So that's why I wanted to ask that question, maybe to put her at ease, or you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm contactable, put it that way, through my website.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm cool.
Right.
Okay, Brian.
Okay, fine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, as I say, I won't further that any more than to say I can and do, but it's very occasionally, and it has to suit us both. I have to feel that I can. But as I say, once again, I am contactable through my website.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Robin, go ahead and ask a question, because I know you've been waiting.
No, I was going to ask. I didn't really hear that much in the car on the way home, so I probably already been asked this question, but are you still doing medium work, or?
Yeah, I think that's what we were just trying to tie up, if you like.
Oh, right.
I do it now on a very personal level. If people come to me with a good suggestion, and it interests me at that time, then yes, I'm not going to strike it out of the question. But I'm not actually touting for work. I'm not actually looking. Okay, I'm not promoting myself in any way. What I am saying is I'm here. I am contactable. Some things interest me, and I think I can. I think I can be elemental in an investigation, and it's worth an investigation, or frankly, it's not. So, you know, as it happens, really.
We'll try this one then. Where was your favorite place in the UK that you were with? Let's say with Most Haunted, for instance.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, there were lots. I think the place not the favourite, I'll go for sort of like less favourite. I'll say something like Chislehurst Caves was my least, perhaps, thinking about it. And it always leaves a mark on my memory, because for a start, I hate enclosed cave systems. and to be taken, if you like, up some back and beyond maze and left there in the darkness with maybe just a torch and a piece of and a pad on my knee, and then of course your imagination kicks in to some extent, and then I didn't feel good about that, but then it's because I don't like underground cave systems, really. To be honest, there were a number of places. I mean, Croxteth Hall and in Liverpool, all good places. I mean, with real substance there, if you like, and as I say, a lot of those places were really good. Especially, as I say, if I could be left to get on with it, left alone more. Some of these places I'd get to earlier in the day, like in the afternoon of a filming which took place at night. So then I could go back and kind of pick up what I'd felt that afternoon, because that afternoon I could ask that I was the only one in the building. And, obviously, if they were filming a pre-recorded television episode, then it's necessary to have cameramen and lighting and your sound people. And it's pushing it a bit. So that's why I'd always approach it from the point of view of being able to access slightly earlier in the day. And you know what? Just seeing what's there, basically, and letting that come across, if indeed there were anything. Yeah,
because I think there's one place in the UK that I haven't been to yet that I want to go to, and I think you were there. Was Woodchester Mansion.
Oh yeah, really? What? Yeah, I was. Why? So why do you feel the way you do?
I'm just drawn to it. I'm not a medium by any sense, but I'm a sensitive, and I can see and I can hear and I can communicate. Not all the time, but sometimes. But you know, I mean, I've been to 30 East Drive 3 times, but Woodchester Mansion's just calling me.
Really? Well, I can say to that, and I'm not going to spoil it for you or whatever, and I'm not going to make any great claims either, which would be totally unfair. Check it out.
I know what he's talking about. I'm not sensitive either, and I feel drawn to the Sally House in the United States for some odd reason, but I think it might be for something nefarious on a demonic level, to be honest with you, but it would be a long story.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask a question of, so from your standpoint, because we capture, my wife and I, we go alone. It's just her and I on investigations. We do like a local show, but we don't have camera people. We use static cameras. It's just me and her on a location. We won't go there unless we can rent it privately, because like you were saying, we want the piece to be able to do what we're doing without outside interference, without outside distractions. And we feel like the spirits approach us more because we're by ourselves. We've captured images and heard voices from other things that, whether you want to call them demonic, whether you want to call them interdimensional beings, I don't know. Some of these things look like animals. Do you sense it and see any of these things in your mind's eye at some of these locations where thousands of people may be tortured in a castle dungeon? Or do these things really get drawn in there?
Oh, I mean, what can I tell you? Oh, definitely. Straight up, I mean, definitely, yeah. I've been in castles and things like that. And well, for sure, let's backtrack. When you think about the sense of history alone, we're all aware of that. I mean, if you go to a castle, for instance, or whatever, you know, with dungeons or chambers, you know to some extent what the history is.
Yeah.
So you've got a bit of a sketch anyway to go on. But if you're there on your own and you can do it in that purest way by being alone in those places, oh yeah. I mean, I've felt amazing things. Amazing. I mean, even screams from people, the anguish that they must have suffered. Do you know what I'm saying? Now,
what type of effect is like you guys have so many layers of history. Like you might have a castle that was built on top of an old Roman compound from back then on top of this. How does that affect your gift in the way you sense these things when you have all these layers kind of interacting with each other?
Do you know what the way I used to think about it? It's like the layers, almost like the layers of an onion, if you like. If you
that's right.
One, there's another underneath it. You peel off that, there's something under that. And you really get those come through. Sometimes it could be from, I don't know, near Roman times.
Yeah.
And absolutely. And yet you know that, history, what it is, we can come right up through to, I don't know, Victorian times or whatever, and you do get those feelings from various points in the past. Some deep, some not so deep. I think it depends upon the trauma at that time, the trauma that those spirits were going through.
Oh God, some of the horrible things that used to happen.
In death or in torture or whatever, the way they died has bearing on how strong that essence is now and the way you perceive it.
Yeah. It's like energy is being released again.
Well, indeed, as I say, there's an intensity to it, and there are different intensities depending on the way people died, the way they were treated before they died, the anguish they went through before they died.
Now, I used to find that. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Oh no, sorry. I just wanted to ask, what was your scariest moment out of the whole? I would just say out of not just the whole show, but just out of all of life doing this work. What has been your scariest moment?
My scariest moment? I don't know. I mean, I've been, as I say, if you want me to sort of say, if I go back to America, for instance, and think about the West Virginia Penitentiary, I got some there were times when I was really scared, for God's sakes, because that place must have been inhabited And I don't know too much about it. I obviously know it was a prison and all the rest of it. You had violent prisoners there. But I really did feel at one point threatened by the place, threatened by the presence of a spirit, which was intent on mischief, frankly, on just that, on mischief, quite frankly. I mean, I had locks. I approached a door there at one point that had been sealed or I had jammed for years, and I hadn't bothered to free it. It freed itself upon touching it, and the bolt slid back. There's, of course, an electric chair there, which says a lot too.
Did they tell you that the big mound out in front of it is an Indian burial mound?
And you get that, yeah? You've been there.
The huge mound out in front, it's actually an Indian burial mound. That's why it's called Moundville.
That's right. Yeah, that's correct.
And a lot of nasty stuff happened there. Did you go in the Sugar Shack?
No.
There was like a wreck place, but a lot of murders and like rapes would happen down there. It was a horrific place.
So you see what I mean? And you see what that must have meant in terms of the intensity of a spirit, if you like, coming through to you at any given time.
Yeah.
I mean, some will come through fast, some will come, slower than others, some not as clear as others. But there are times when you walk in and you just know that this place is going to offer up so much. It's just not true.
I just wanted to ask, like, going back to the history, like you guys have so much history there. My wife and I have a theory that the longer a human is in spirit form after death, the better they can learn how to manipulate the physical world that we inhabit, like between the veil and their world. Is that true? Like kind of like how a piano player, they start off, they can play chopsticks. Eventually they're playing with an orchestra and a concerto. Is a spirit like that, where the longer they're in that form without a body, because you guys used to get the most intense activity.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why?
Yeah. I think it's a lot to do with obviously it's a lot to do with the person, way back in history, the person that was, whether they, and after death, after life, depending on what sort of person they were, reflects their ability to manipulate the living. Especially, I mean, it's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
We're investigators, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
We're there to do just that. We're there to tap that source. And by doing so, we don't altogether, necessarily know how that's going to come across. Now we open ourselves up.
Yeah.
And sometimes that it's not the greatest idea. It's chancy, put it that way.
I know.
You're allowing yourself to be, taken over, inhabited, manipulated by whatever's there.
Yeah. And that's not good at all.
Well, it's just that you're taking a chance, really, it's us who's playing around with these things, don't forget. It's not necessarily them who are posing themselves on us. We went looking in the first place. We are looking. And in looking, there is that certain element,
Yep, absolutely.
We talk about that all the time on this show, how people don't realize what they're messing with.
No,
they don't do a lot of research. They go out there thinking it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not a joke, because it's not a joke. You're talking about history. You're talking about living people at one time. Now deceased, of course, and for many, many, many years, decades or whatever, hundreds of years. But what you're dealing with, we don't know exactly what you're dealing with. Murderers or whatever at that time, who would do anything, to destroy another person. You don't know what you're dealing with. You do not know what you're letting out of the cage at times.
Yeah.
And there's the fact that we can't see these things, and the demonic or these evil entities do come out. As a psychic, are you able to discern better? Like, I'm the least sensitive person. The more I do this work, the more sensitive I become in a way. But I wouldn't know if a demonic entity was lying through me, through my spirit box, or it was a human person. As a psychic, are you able to more easily discern the difference and would know that that's not a person you're talking to, that's a demon?
You would know eventually if it were to be a person with demonic intentions. Does that make sense? You say a demon.
It does.
I mean, what's a demon? The demon's just a tag we put on something.
True.
It would be a person in every case, but
Really?
a person with, as I say, demonic intentions, evil intentions, dark intentions. Yeah. That's of course not always the case with the spirit world.
Yeah, we spoke about this last week.
No, so do you believe there are other things out there though? Like, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. The thing I was gonna say, Todd, you know how crazy that is? Because remember, my medium did a reading for you for that house, and he just said exactly what we said. Well, actually not what we said, but what she said. She said that, you know, it was a lady who was suffering from dementia, like some mental illness, was waiting for her daughter, and she was getting mad and upset and scared because there was people in the house, in her territory, and she didn't understand why, and she was waiting for like her daughter or something, and all this stuff. And it's crazy because they thought it was a demon. They thought a demon was in the house because the way that it was lashing out and stuff like that. And it's just weird.
It's not me. The client said I never felt anything like that there.
No, not you, the client. But I'm saying, what if though now? What if he's right too? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what if this whole time we're putting that label on demons, and it's really just another person in life that was, say had ill intentions, had that demonic intentions.
Well, it's like what I told you about with the bully spirit. We find that there are spirits that will bully other spirits and tell them they're demons and kind of make them mess with us or lie to us or whatever. And it's just a human spirit being an asshole, for lack of a better word, and lying to other spirits and saying, I'm demonic or whatever. And they're just being a bully like they were in life, bully in death, bully in life.
Well, exactly that. I mean, you've just modernized the whole thing by using words like asshole or whatever. But having said that, no, it's fine. But if you go back in time, they were assholes, but they were people who had bad intentions, who would do anything for their own ends.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
That's like we spoke
the size of.
When we were saying about the.
Oh, sorry. Oh, what happened? Oh, there we go. Anyway, what I was gonna say was, it's just a weird synchronicity to me, Todd. That's all I was trying to get to. You know what I mean? And that because we just had this discussion, and I was like, why would she be getting that, and then the customer was getting something else, like the client was getting something different, and then he just said a synchronicity to what she said. So that's the only reason why I brought it up, because as an investigator, like, I have to, get a bunch of different signs. I just don't trust my sensitive ability to, do it, and I should. But thank you for bringing that up, because that just totally triggered something in my mind, and I wanted to bring that up.
What it comes down to, Brian, is my wife and I lived through a very negative and nasty haunting for 4 years.
Right.
And it became an obsession, really, to kind of find answers as to what happened to us, what really were we dealing with. And over time, through a lot of research, I read a lot of books, I try to take everybody's viewpoints into account, and we come up with theories, and then we try to figure out what's what, and hopefully we're being told the truth by the spirit world, but we know that's not always the case. But it seems like the more answers we get, the more questions we have, because it seems to be getting weirder as we go along. So that's why I was asking those questions, No, absolutely. And I totally understand that. A couple of years ago, we started helping out families who haven't done research, who don't do this, who are being affected the way we were. And we're just at least trying to give them the validation that they're not crazy, or help them any way we can. So that's why, the more I can learn, the better I can help myself and other people.
No, absolutely. But, everything we talk about, it originally, let's be fair, we're not talking about myth. We're talking about things that came from life, that actually did live on this earth, like we do now, And as I say, there were good people, obviously, lots of good people around. I like to think most people are. But there are people who think, what? Why would they do that? They are just inherently evil, I mean,
absolutely.
It's modern day things. We see it every day on TV, pick yourself back, as I say, back in history. They were there, those people who had evil intentions to other people and would do anything they could to destroy other people, murder other people, or whatever, for gain, for whatever, to take over their soul, maybe even, that they're demons. They're demons.
I have a viewer question. The viewer question is, do you think spirits stay as they are when they passed, or after time can a spirit become insane or evil? Do you think a spirit's the same, or can it become insane and then evil?
I think the intensity of one's spirit could wax and wane over time, put it that way. I don't think one could become mad and evil necessarily. I think that's too the reference is too black and white for me. As I say, I think there's an intensity about a spirit, or there isn't. And most spirits, a lot of spirits, want to be back here with us, communicating for most innocent, maybe, of reasons. There are things that they want to tie up. There are things that got left behind, if you like. But there are spirit world. There are spirits out there that are definitely dark, and have stayed that way over time. Yeah. And they're the ones to look out for. That's where opening. It's like opening a can of worms, isn't it? Let's have a look what's inside. That's great. We can do that and the rest of it. But sometimes we open one and we wish we hadn't.
Yeah.
Because of the threat that it poses to the life that we live now, the living, us, ourselves. You and your wife going through, you and your wife going through this period when you felt threatened and went for a very difficult time. To suggest that very thing. There are elements out there which haven't changed over time. Maybe through intensity, we can call it darker. They become darker.
Yeah.
But there, and we must respect that and be very, very careful the way we tread. But by opening ourselves up is the only way to access that, if you like, the spirit world. And by doing so, as I say, there is a certain amount of danger involved.
Yeah.
We don't always like what we find, do we?
No. I've been threatened. My wife's been threatened. Horrible things said to us.
Well, there you
about
go.
Raping her, killing me, horrible things that you do not want to hear when you're reviewing evidence. Believe me.
No. I totally get that.
By the same token, I've had spirits that broke my heart listening to them in review. Things I didn't hear live that were heartbreaking. Abby Borden, she's been stuck here for 100-something years, and every night of the week, people come in and ask her about the murder that she lived through. And in the house, the Borden house, there's axes, there's reproductions of their skulls bashed in, there's autopsy pictures on the dining room table, and these spirits are roaming past this every day. And then people come in every night and ask the same questions. Where's Lizzie? Is Lizzie here? Did Lizzie kill you? This, that. She broke my heart because she was like, I'm so sick of this. I just want to move on. I'm done with it.
Yeah. No, that's to say, it's very interesting. But that's a very known historic case, put it that way. But there are lots of others that aren't as well known, but probably equally horrific.
No doubt.
Yeah. As I say, even in our modern times, we hear about these dreadful, dreadful things that people do, on a almost daily basis, and we're never less than shocked by it. So as I say, it's not that surprising, is it, that if we start to look into the afterlife, into the past, that they're all there. Some are very well-known cases, and some are, have almost been commercialized, if you like, in that lots of people have gone there to check it out and have wondered about it and have been amazed by it. But quite frankly, as I say, sometimes I wonder, isn't there enough happening now really to worry about? as opposed to worry about the past. But certainly the past is still very relevant. It's relevant to the us in living day. But it can also still pose a threat, and that threat is a danger if we don't know how to deal with that danger.
Yeah, so a lot of them are very sad and miserable for sure being stuck here.
Yeah, it definitely would. It definitely would.
Now, are you able to help these spirits move on at all?
I think we touched upon that in actual fact in some of the, perhaps we didn't, in some of the most haunted shows. I was just trying to think whether we did or not, or whether it's something that when, if you like, the cameras had stopped rolling, we would try and do our best, put it that way. But yes, I have.
Where do you believe they go when they move on, just out of curiosity? I'm not even talking from a religious standpoint. I'm talking from a practical standpoint.
Well, I believe they shift themselves. I believe they're at peace, basically. Yeah. Every spirit should be at peace, you know. And I believe if we can help, learn to find peace. To find peace.
It seems like that's what they all are really looking for, is peace. Honestly, you hit the nail on the head.
But
except for that.
Yeah, but as I say, if we're talking about those other darker spirits,
no.
I feel that then, of course, they're still reaching out to us. You know, they're still reaching across, and in a malevolent way, in a dangerous way, and a threatening way.
See, that goes into the question I was actually going to ask, because Tracy Coleman asked, her parents, she just had someone pass in her life, and she said, do you believe that they're together? Her parents, they were together for 62 years. Do you believe that her parents are together? And I think so. I totally believe so. And I know after what you just touched on, yes, absolutely. Like, they're reaching on from the other side. She'll probably get a sign, and just keep your eyes open. So,
well, I mean, in a nutshell, I suppose, it's what I believe. I believe that as well.
Yeah, I believe that as well.
That once they pass on, they can actually come back and interact with us or look in on us?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I do believe that. But I was
just because I saw my grandfather's spirit when I was like 9 years old. He passed in his sleep in his bed. And when I was playing with my cars near that room, I looked up and he was standing there peacefully. He looked like he was looking over me in a lovingly way. And he kind of dissolved away in front of me. And for up until the actual haunting we lived through happened, I thought that I had imagined it. Now I know I didn't, that actually happened. And I don't know whether he's stuck in that home or if he was just looking in on me from another place. He didn't look tortured or anything. It looked like he was just saying hi, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It didn't scare me.
Which was exactly the same thing with me and my grandmother, who in the latter days of her life was actually living with us as a family. And she passed away in the house. And one night, I was lying in bed, and I woke, and she was seemingly, I'm going to say seemingly, in the doorway. And she didn't look anguished or tortured in any way. But it came across to me that she was there to give me something, to, reach across, if you like, from the spirit that she had just passed, and give me something, give me some knowledge or whatever, and I remember it to this day. I was startled and a little bit fearful, but she was there. She was doing nothing other than standing there.
Yeah.
And I feel she did impart some things to me. So, yes, I totally agree with you. That can happen.
Yeah. I don't think I even had time to be scared. It was just like he'd been so newly passed. I think at first I thought he was alive and still standing there, because it had only been like a couple months, if even.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've had experiences. So, like, that's why now I believe. But, it's just the investigator in me wants to also challenge everything. But even though that, I know in my heart that it's happened. you know, my father who passed away recently too, Todd. Like I've had things that's happened, like how your grandfather, like that. It's just like, oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy when you have these experiences. Like I have them a lot with my father, and it's just amazing when you have one of these experiences. And I believe that they do happen for everybody. It's just a matter of, do we look at the little signs, you know?
Yeah. When you say experiences with your father, your particular father, do you mean since his passing or while he was alive?
I'm saying when he passed, after he passed. I said I have experiences with him and stuff like that, and it's just, you know, it's amazing to have those experiences with the afterlife and certain things.
And did you feel that he imparted anything to you, that you gained anything from that?
I do every single time, and I believe that he's like warning me about certain things that are coming, and like he's warning me about like this car accident I just had, and I didn't listen, and I feel like I saw it, and I just didn't listen. I still went against it for some reason, and there's like certain things he'll show like randomly from weeks and weeks and weeks. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's
it's just interesting. That's all.
Oh no, I find it completely fascinating. I love this type of stuff, and I love to look at this stuff in like the most scientific way possible, with energy and vibration, frequency, all this type of stuff. And I try to use that into my investigations and stuff to try and see.
Good.
You know,
because I do believe, you know, that someone like obviously your father, and let's face it, you sound as though you're very close to your father while he was living. That he, and I think I think spirits will do this. They will reach across, and it won't be long after their parting that, like your father, like my grandmother, they want to reach across to give us something, to impart something that makes our lives different and hopefully better. Gives us a special knowledge. I think my grandmother was also a psychic. Now, I didn't say that before. She was also psychic. Now, whether she reached across knowing that I was susceptible to the same thing, I do not know. But it now feels, in hindsight, that indeed that's what happened. So she was imparting something that she had and was very good at to me. Even though, frankly, AJ, at that time, I was not wanting to be that receptive, because I think I was 16 or something, and you know, having a psychic ability was probably the last thing on my mind at the time. You know, I was much more interested in more worldly pursuits. Sure. You know, I won't elaborate on that, but I'm sure we all, being guys, you know what I'm talking about. And having a good time, you know, and all the rest of it. But nevertheless, I firmly believe that at that time, she reached across to impart something that was important to her. She also wanted to make sure that I was okay. That would be a long story. You just have to accept that what I'm saying here, that I was okay at that time. Whoa. Give me something that I indeed now have.
Yeah. Wow. Can I just say one thing that just really struck me? You said about your grandmother that she really wanted to make sure you were okay. My grandmother and I were extremely close. She was like a second mother to me. She ended up in a nursing home with Alzheimer's. And even though she slowly went downhill, even at the end when like her mind was almost completely gone, I would still walk in the room. And even though she didn't know my name anymore, she knew who I was every time like that. Every time she knew who I was. She would say something to me. Like she asked me if I had a girlfriend from the time I was like 5 years old. She would say that to me. Do you have a girlfriend yet? I would know that she knew who I was. When she was at death's door, I had gone home to eat, and my mother called me up and said, "Hey, I don't think your grandmother's gonna last. You might want to get back here." So I came back, and my grandma always worried about me. I was going through a bad time, and I whispered into her ear. I said, "Grandma, I promise you, I'll be okay." Yeah. And she passed like 5 seconds later. I turned around and she passed. Okay. I almost felt like her energy lift up. It was like really probably the second paranormal experience I ever had, just because I could feel her leave somehow. The room felt empty after. And just really struck me that you said that, because that I believe that's one thing that held her there while I was racing back there, whatever, what do you want to call it.
Right.
And now my life is okay. I got past that time, and I almost feel like I'm glad I did, even just for her, wherever she is, if she's watching somewhere, if she knows I kept my promise, you know?
Yeah. Well, indeed, as I say, that is something that stuck with me. I was, as I say, only about 16 then. You know, since, so all my life, really. But it's comforting. It always comforted me to know that she needed to reach across and impart something to me that she considered to be hugely important. In other words, from the spirit world to enhance my life in some way. And I feel comforted by that.
I do too. I do too. I completely agree. I totally do. I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So you see, you know, how deep my belief is in the spirit world, if you like, in the hereafter. It's not just, oh, well, you know, we're having a good time, we're alive, oh, we're dead. You know, there's something important to learn from those past lives, if we could tap into it in the right way. Now, I'm especially not talking about my grandmother, but certainly during investigations, whether that be privately or doing things for Most Haunted or whatever, the interesting thing is, what can I learn from the spirit world?
Yeah.
What can I learn? How can I access it? And what can I learn without it being some kind of, in any way, danger to me or anybody else?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think that with... Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I approach completely, because that's the exact thing that I always constantly think to myself, like I want to think about all this stuff in a deeper way. I want to think about it in a way that's deep, where I can explain it to people easily, but it's still in a deep way where they'll be like, wow, this makes, you know, like, so I completely understand what you were saying, the way that you get it. And I just like hearing stuff that when people are like that, they really take this to a whole new level, because it is fascinating. It's completely fascinating. We're getting responses through these devices. We're getting responses that are like complete sentences in some cases on a device that should not be able to do it. I mean, you're getting able to get what you get. It's just absolutely fascinating.
Right. But in a way, it's the same kind of thing. It's just the way we interpret it. You know what I'm saying? It's either coming into our brain as a message, in that you can recall what they're saying in a sentence or part sentence. Or I decipher it not only as that, but as a visual. Yeah. So that's the only difference, really. It's basically the same thing. We're receiving information from the past, from the dead, from the spirit world. And that's the thing. And that's what we're all looking for, because in many ways it can enhance the lives of the living.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Through a better understanding. It's like history. If we read enough history books, we have a fundamental understanding of history, whether that be Tudor, Victorian, whatever, you know. I don't know. But as I say, if we can actually approach and make contact with the spirit world, you know, we've got that purity. It's coming straight into us. We're receiving that firsthand. You know, we're getting information. It's what we do with it then. Now, and you know, we all see shows on TV or whatever, you know, and some of it looks completely cooked up, frankly, and fake. And I'm thinking, why am I watching this? It's just ridiculous. When in actual fact, there is a real chance out there to do something or to receive something which is valuable to us. It's like what our grandparents or whatever can give us while they're living. If you're lucky to have a grandparent of, I don't know, 90 years old or something, and still got all their faculties about them, they might be a bit increpid, you know, or something, but their faculties, their mental faculties, you think of the information, obviously, they can give us then.
Of course.
But if indeed they've been taken, way before, and they're now resting in the spirit world, why would we not try? Why would we not try our hardest to contact them? They, especially if we imagine that and perceive that they're trying to contact us.
Yes, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Do you think that when like, let's say that you and I walked into a place, I lived through this, I know that this exists, you know this exists, we're true believers, we're wide open as receivers. Do you think that if we had a pure skeptic with us who's shut off to that they could affect the energy somehow where there's less activity because that they don't want to deal with that person's, the way they're shut off like that? You know what I'm saying?
I think I would try and approach that in a way that if they wanted to shut off or be total skeptic, I would try and divorce myself from them somewhat to try and get a truer insight into what, indeed, if indeed there were anything there in the first place, a truer insight into what there was, to what can I gain from this place? In other words, don't be swayed by someone's skepticism.
But do you think the spirits are swayed by it? Do you think the spirits know when somebody who's shut off to it?
I don't see any. Sometimes I just work on logic. I don't see the logic why logically they would. You understand why? They might be aware of the person.
That's what I mean, aware of it. So that they have such little energy. Like, do you think they're like, well, I don't really want to waste this little bit of energy I have on this person who just came in who's a skeptic, saying nasty stuff like, if you're here, come out and show me,
that's why so many people walk away and say, didn't see a thing, didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
that's what I was getting at.
You see what I'm saying? Why would they bother? Why would they bother?
That's what I say there.
They have no antenna up. They're not even laying themselves open for anything, are they? Other than told you so,
Yeah, no, and that's how they live their life too. So,
yeah,
well, indeed, absolutely. So I wouldn't, that frankly wouldn't put me off, and I don't think, there's any danger of the spirit world being put off by someone like that, because there would be lack of communication. Or no communication, because it's not worth it.
Exactly.
Exactly. I wanted to let you know it's coming up on the hour mark right now. We're at 58 minutes. So
come on, man.
I want to ask Robin real quick. I know, seriously, it went way too quick. I want to ask Robin, you want to ask the last question before we head out?
I was just going to ask to elaborate on what we were talking about, Brian, as in say family members who have passed, like say for instance in my family, very few, if any, in my family are believers of the paranormal, apart from me. So if anyone, in your opinion, if anyone from my side of the family who's passed was able or wanting or both to come back, would they be more likely to come to me because they know that I can do that? Or would they be more liable to go to someone who's not a believer and show themselves to prove it? Or does it not really matter?
Yes, I think it does matter. I think the short answer would be they would come to you and not somebody who is a disbeliever. It's a bit like, because you are being receptive and they are not being receptive. It's like an airway signal coming to a radio rather than your fridge. Because I mean, it's not meant to be. You are the receiver. You are the person who is laying yourself open, who is doing everything in your power, if you like, or you can do, to accept that information that you think is out there and wants to come across to you. Why would it happen to someone who isn't? I don't see it myself.
No, it's just, I get where you're coming from, but it's like.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I say, and people do make claims, don't they? Oh, I was at so and so and so and so, and it was dark at night. You know, it's a churchyard, and you know, I saw something, and it was a ghost. Actually, I'm sure it's a ghost. Yeah, sure. But I don't necessarily believe all that. I think, you know, we hear too much of that sort of thing. I think the spirit world is more meaningful than that. It's there to come across to give us information, and it's wanting to do that to people who are receptive enough to, you know, as I say, be able to receive that kind of information and you know, do something with it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe, as I say, you know, you're verging on sort of supernatural films or horror films or something if you believe, you know, anyone could stumble over a ghost, if you like. You know, I just don't think it's gonna. I just don't necessarily think it's gonna happen. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, there are lots and lots and lots of cases. Let's be fair now. We're only talking, and you're talking to me because, you know, I was on a TV show called Most Haunted, and that's where you happened to see me. And prior to that, you know, I was a very private person, and yes, doing psychic work and all the rest of it. But you know, I've always had the best intentions at heart, if you like. You know, once you in actual fact do something in a commercial sense, like go on TV or make a film or do whatever, then of course you enter a different ball game, because you're putting your head up above the parapet, and critics out there are some people are going to love you and some people are going to hate you and say, you know, you're a fake, or you're this, or you're that, or the other. And that's why, quite frankly, I've never courted going back to doing that sort of work, and I'm not doing it now. You know, I'm not courting that. I'm not looking actively for that sort of work now, because I have my own beliefs and they're deep rooted and they're meaningful. I know what sort of person I am inside. You know, and I'm, you know, I don't mind criticism to that degree, but why should I go looking for it? Do you know what I'm saying?
I always thought you came off as very genuine, Brian, if that means anything. Yeah, like for me, I believe that a lot of people do, like everything. Like I was a car salesman. A lot of people always thought I was lying when I'm not that type of person. There are some people out there who pretend to be mediums who aren't, but you always came off extremely genuine and caring towards the spirits, and that's why I really enjoyed watching you when you were on the show, and the fact that you brought you in your beautiful artistry too really just gave it another layer of entertainment, and just, I don't know, it just brought me closer to the experience you were having.
Well, then, you know what, then that's great. And, you know, I've achieved something, if you like, you know, because I am a genuine person. I am a person. I'm hopefully a good person. I'm not out to deceive anyone. I don't want to do it.
No.
Whether that be in a psychic way or any other way. I don't want to dupe anybody or deceive anybody. I am what I am. You can see my artwork. Either you like it or you don't like it. You know, I'm not out to deceive anybody. You know, nor am I, you know, in the psychic sense. I do receive things. I genuinely believe I have in the past received messages from the past, and they have helped me through my life and given me a better understanding of a lot of things. So I don't want to be associated with any charlatan or fakery. No. When earlier, I think we were talking about Most Haunted, and perhaps we weren't on air then generally, and there are noises in the background of things being thrown or whatever. As I say, I'm not aware of those things because I didn't enter that situation to be aware, if I had thought, you know what, this is all a big setup and it's trickery, I wouldn't want a part of it. You know, I don't love TV enough to want to, you know, dupe people and be labeled a charlatan, frankly.
Yeah.
It means nothing to you to be on there. So
I tell people, I'm almost 50 years old. I got better things to do than hoax evidence for YouTube views. I can give a rat's ass about YouTube or any of that. That's not why I do this.
You know what? I have better things to do as well. I really do. You know, lots of interest, but as I say, I would never set out to do anything to deceive anybody, and I don't want to. I never have. I won't start now. You know, but hopefully the information or the you know that I've given you, or the questions that you asked and I've answered, believe me, I've answered to the best of my abilities.
Absolutely. I mean,
I really enjoyed the conversation.
Sorry,
I always thought personally that you and David Wells were the two best mediums they ever had. And let's face it, they have been through quite a few mediums on that program. But I always thought that out of all the mediums that they've used, that you and David Wells were the most genuine. And like I said to you before we come on air, you brought something to the table that nobody else brought. You didn't just explain what you've seen, you were able to put it on paper. And that was, to me, that Most Haunted, that was a game changer.
Yeah, well, it was a different slant, I suppose, from that viewpoint. It's something that, you know, was quite natural to me, but not necessarily natural to lots of other people watching, because they thought, oh, hang on, this is a bit different, you know. Let's see what this guy can do. Well,
you just read my mind. You freaked me out, Robin. You just freaked me out, because I was just thinking the same thing about him and David Wells. Were really the only two mediums that I really, really enjoyed watching on the show. I always thought Derek Acora was way over the top, and I think he got caught doing something too. I don't know. I'm not there. It's not my business. But I didn't enjoy watching him. I didn't love watching him. But him and Brian and David, I loved watching them. They came across as genuine and real. And I don't know anything about, you know.
All I can say there is, and I don't want to badmouth anyone off at all, obviously, but Derek Acora, you know, God rest his soul, because he has died now. It was a showman. He was much more, you know, he was a showman. He was everything that I'm not. He was a showman.
But yet I despised watching him, and I enjoyed watching you. I despised watching the first 5 seasons. I like everybody else, him.
Yeah.
Fast forward past his walkthrough every time.
Now, whether he had any other ability, I obviously can't say, because I had very limited exposure to him. But
they still give him shows all the time.
Yeah. But as I say, he was a showman. He's everything I'm not and will never be. You know, I do that through the work that I do, whatever work that might be.
Yeah, but
you know what, you, brother. I love the way you came across. So you keep doing you.
You want to know what too, and I love the genuineness of you. I mean, you've been an awesome person since the minute we started speaking, even backstage. I mean, we appreciate that so much. Would you feel free to ever come back on?
Of course. Look, I can only thank you very much, and you made some lovely comments about, you know, my abilities. You know, whether that's, as I say, the psychic drawings, or you know, or whatever, and my own and my straight down the line artwork. But of course, I've enjoyed talking to you, and as I say, I'm always glad to answer some questions. You know, you just
I got more.
Yeah, appreciate that, Brian.
Okay, no, it's been lovely, guys. It really has. I appreciate the chance to come on and chat, and it's been.
We thank you. We thank you. Seriously,
it's been fun.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, sir. Absolute pleasure.
Take care.
No problem. See you again.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that's so cool.
Fantastic. Fantastic, yes.
Everyone at home, I want to show his art real quick. Again, this is how detailed.
Did you find any of his spirit work? Find one of his drawings of a spirit.
Fortunately, I uploaded these before I started, and I just did it off his website. I didn't find any of the spirit work ones, but I will try to put them up on Talking with the Source page.
Listen, they're lights out, like really, like when I say like it brings you into what he's experiencing, probably as close as you're gonna get, because they was such like knock them out the park, like detailed. I believe I forgot to ask him. I believe it was like the charcoal drawings. They were fantastic.
Look at the detail.
I mean, go back to that other one, AJ. The one that has the shop on it. That one. That one. I mean, you know, what I'm going to say, I'm no expert in art at all, but the brickwork above that shop, like the grey brickwork, I mean, look how he's made it even look so old.
Look at him. No, and the light was reflecting off it. It looks kind of like, too.
Looks old. It's probably 1,000 years old or something, you bastard, over there. Everything's like a...
Yeah.
This was the best part. This is my favorite part of Most Haunted was in the beginning when a vet would come on and she'd be like, and this place is relatively new. It was built in 1585. And I'd be like, I'd be disappointed when she'd say, oh, this place was built in like 1890. I'd be like, oh, man, last week the place has been built in 1200.
Right.
I mean, like, that's what we're talking about. Like, if you don't understand at home what that show was, like the history there goes back so damn far and the layers are so deep. That's why I asked the question, like, how does that affect you? Because there's so much there.
Well,
that
dude,
could be anything.
He gave us so much information too. And like, it was great, like, to just think about, because he was just like fantastic. He was so like in depth with everything. And like I constantly talk to Robin about, right, Robin? Like I constantly just like talk to you about that type of stuff, and to have him on to talk about it was just absolutely awesome. But thank you, Todd.
I mean, I wanted him from for a while now, and the one thing that I will say about Brian, apart from being a nice fella, and apart, obviously he's agreed to come back on again and stuff, but believe it or not, he's one of the easiest people to contact. He's got a website, and on his website, he's got his phone number. And I've been in touch with him for a couple of weeks now over text message.
Don't tell that people will be calling the poor guy up asking him to do readings.
No, but honestly, it's some people that I've tried to contact, and I'm even going to say some people that we even had on the show already. They've been an absolute bloody nightmare to contact. You know what I mean? Well, you've been trying.
Yeah, but you have to understand, though. You have to understand, most people don't want nothing to do with the public. And when they're big like that, dude, they have tons of people that just want to have readings, just want to have things done. So that's why they do that. That's why it's a nightmare to try and contact them.
Yeah.
Brian, because Brian has it. Brian is, just an awesome, genuine person and doesn't care, because he even said it right in the show. You can contact me through my website, which is true. And, most of them aren't like that because they're scared, because a lot of people are kind of crazy nowadays. Like, you never know.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, like I was saying.
Listen, we'll get into this conversation after we get off the show, because you're going to get in depth with it. I could feel it. So, intro with me. Thank you guys for joining us again. This is another episode of Talking with the Source, and we will see you next time. Later.
It's been real. Woo!